First it was statues of slave owners, then it was statues of anyone allegedly linked to the slave trade. Now it's just any white male historical figure. Proving once again its status as the California of the United Kingdom, the Welsh government has produced a report that says statues of old white men, period, should be removed because they might be offensive to Britain's increasingly diverse population, including revered figures like Admiral Horatio Nelson, celebrated for defeating Napoleon, but he's white, so he's gotta go. They're literally fulfilling George Orwell's 1984 dystopia in which he wrote, quote, "Every record has been destroyed or falsified, every book rewritten, every picture has been repainted, every statue and street building has been renamed, every date has been altered." The guidance argues that the memorials fuel the, quote, "perception that the achievements that society considers noteworthy are those of powerful, older, able-bodied white men." Yeah, and what's wrong with that? That's who built Western society. The document complains that diversity is, quote, "hardly visible at all in public commemorations," suggesting they're not only going to tear down the old statues, but replace them with cringe shrines to mass migration and multiculturalism. Once again, we see diversity being elevated over our own national history, seeking to completely erase it in the process. It's a revolutionary iconoclastic movement weaponized to obliterate our native heritage. And it's not just confined to statues. Everyone must be made not merely to tolerate Wokethink, but to actively champion its objectives. Private residential landlords in Wales are being offered free anti-racism and hate crime training. Quote, "so they are able to respond quickly and offer appropriate support where tenants have experienced racism and or hate crime. So it's not enough to enlist the cops as literal thought police. Now private citizens must be collaborators too. Oh, but it's not mandatory, it's completely voluntary. Except it's not, is it? The devil's in the detail." The spokesperson said it would count as evidence of continuous professional development in relation to training requirements to become licensed, re-licensed to let and manage rentals in Wales. Refuse to submit to the woke re-education struggle session? No license for you. Now you're not allowed to rent out your own property. Incredible. But charity Oxfam must have apparently seen what the Welsh government did before declaring hold my beer. They published a 92-page inclusive language report which apologised merely for using the English language. "We recognise that this guide has its origin in English, the language of a colonising nation. We acknowledge the Anglo-supremacy of the sector as part of its coloniality." Yes, speaking English alone is now considered racist and offensive. Maybe we should just rip out our own tongues in case some diverse person somewhere gets their feelings hurt. The word headquarters is criticised because it, quote, "implies a colonial power dynamic," while field trip is also frowned upon because it can, quote, "reinforce colonial attitudes." Staff are even told not to say they stand with people they support because it potentially alienates people unable to stand. While even the word people is to be avoided because it's often misunderstood as only referring to men. An integral part of their revolution is seizing control of the language to the point where you're not even able to vocalise your opposition, while demoralising you to the point where you hate yourself as much as they hate you. Well, don't fall for it. Be confident, be proud of your heritage and history. Don't let the bastards grind you down. So I've had Scott Mannion on my podcast. I've been on his show, he's a mate, and he's done the hard yards with his YouTube channel. It's quality content, and its main focus is traditional restoration. He deciphers the essence of Anglo-Saxon and Anglo-American values and virtues using the myth, tradition, symbolism and lore that forged English civilization. Scott hosts talks with traditional new right thinkers, conservatives, subversives, dissidents, and analyses English verse, ritual and story to uncover what he calls lost psycho-technologies that can solve today's problems. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, we need to lift up talent on our side and get him to over 10,000 subs. So pause the video right now. Don't forget to come back to it though. Come on, it only takes a few seconds. Scroll down to the description and his pinned comment, click on his YouTube channel and subscribe. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom! That's it. Simple as.